All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Office Hours. Today, we're going to be talking about stages of small business growth. And I want to ask you a question. So, what stage are you in? Are you the little itty bitty baby pine cone? Or are you the big honking mother of a tree that's been growing for years and years, and you're in one of our beautiful national parks and you have the big honking pine cone? So where are you at? So yesterday in the IC chat, we talked a little bit about, you're finding your niche and doing things that you're good at, but you can't just stay there, right? You got to feed your business. You've got to feed your professional development through training, through connections, all of the things. So, I didn't even show you the baby pine cones. I'm on two different screens. Sorry about that. All right, so let's talk about the first stage. So the first stage is existence. So I have my garden out here. I can see it. My little cherry tomatoes aren't doing too well. I think they're about to not be in existence. But sometimes when I'm planting a garden, I start with plants that are somebody else already started. Sometimes I start by seed. So that might be where you are in your business. Maybe you're the little baby seed trying to break through the ground. And so your issues at this stage are, oh my gosh, how am I going to find customers? How who is my ideal client? How am I going to find my ideal client? And what kind of services am I going to offer? And when I land that contract, can I actually do the thing that I said that I would do? So those are kinds of maybe the struggles when you're that little baby seedling. So can you get enough clients? Can you deliver the products or provide services well enough that people actually want to hire you back? They're pleased with your work so that you become a viable business. And can you expand from that very first client to getting other clients? And then can you develop, a production process or a way of doing things so that you can build that business? And do you have enough money to live on, right? Do you have enough money to handle the cash demands of the business? So at this point, your organization is super simple. You are the owner, and as the owner, you might even be the only employee. So you are doing all the things. You're probably your CPA. You are your IT department. And God forbid you should get like a virus or your computer crashes, because you've got to handle all of the things. So the organizational structure is super simple. You have probably very simple or maybe non-existent processes or planning at this point. And your strategy is really simply to stay alive. So as the owner of the business, you are doing all of the tasks. So then at the next stage would be survival. So if your little baby seedling has grown and hopefully flourished, then maybe you are ready to move on to the survival stage. So at this point, the business has demonstrated that you are actually a workable business. You can get enough customers, you can satisfy them sufficiently enough with your products and services to keep them as clients. And your problem really shifts then from merely existence to thinking about revenues and expenses. You're not in survival mode anymore. So you're thinking about things like, can we generate enough cash to cover our expenses, but can we also, buy that computer that we need or that software that we really need to offer good products and services? Can we generate enough cash flow to really finance our growth? So at this point, your organization is still simple. It might have a limited number of employees, or maybe you're using subcontractors. Maybe you're starting to think about maybe do I need an office manager, or do I need somebody to help me drum up the business? But your structure is still pretty simple at this point. Forecast planning, formal planning is probably still not there yet, or if it is, you're really just thinking about, again, that cash forecasting, kind of looking out. If I'm looking at the next year, what am I seeing? So your major goal is still survival, and at this point, you as the business owner are pretty much synonymous with your business, whether you call your business your name, or whether or not you have a different name. So hopefully you may grow in size and profitability and move on to the next stage, or you might, as a lot of companies do, just stay in this survival mode. So you might think about that as your local corner mom and pop shop. And some mom and pop shops stay in business for years. Maybe they sell at some point, usually at a loss, or maybe they just retire, and that's the end of the business. So in the next stage, it's really all about success. And let me just preface this by saying this, and I'll send you, I'll put the link when we're done to this article. This is an article that I found on the Harvard Business Review when I was looking for research for something that I was doing. So they define this next stage as success. And what I started to say is, for you, that stage 2, that may be success to you, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. This is very much a business perspective. So they're talking about, at this stage, success is really you've grown, you've expanded, you're stable, you're profitable, and it can provide you a basis for doing other kinds of owner activities. So maybe you've got a hobby, maybe you want to run for office, maybe you want to go kayaking in the middle of the week. You've got a machine that you have developed that is generating revenue on a pretty consistent basis at this point. So you're feeding the beast. And then they define stage 4 as the takeoff stage. So the key problems here are growing rapidly, and how are you going to finance the growth? So there's 2 key issues at this stage. One is delegation, and the other is cash. So in the delegation, can the owner delegate responsibility? Can you, as the owner of your evaluation company, delegate to others and have people in place that you can really trust to help run the business? And of course, they're going to have to be really competent for you to be able to do that. And then as far as cash, is there going to be enough cash on hand to really satisfy the demands of growth? Because as your business grows, your overhead is going to grow. And so you're going to need more cash to feed the beast. So it's really critical that you have systems in place, that you have the right people in place, and that you have that operational and strategic planning in place to really have that business run without a whole lot of hand-holding from you. So this period is really critical for a business and for the life of the business. And it's really challenging as a business owner to kind of move into that kind of hands-off phase. This is often a place where companies sell them, are sold. So for example, a long time ago, I used to work for a company called ORC. Then it was sold, and it was ORC Macro, and now it's known as ICF, right? So, and it started originally with one person, PhD, and a master's level person. So it started with 2 people, and now it's this big, huge organization. And then finally, resource maturity. So that's really where everything is off and running, and the company has really grown. The challenge here is maintaining that flexibility and that nimbleness of a small business, that creativity, that got the company started in the first place, but also managing the resources so that, you know, the company doesn't get stodgy or anything like that. So at this point, management is totally decentralized. It's adequately staffed and experiences. And ideally, you've got systems that are very well designed and they're well developed and in place. The company has arrived and the business is no longer synonymous with the business owner. So that is the stages that were mentioned in this Harvard Business Review model. I wanted to show you this last model that my business coach, we mentioned her yesterday on the IC chat. Susan and I were talking about Tracy Snoyer. She's based out of Portland. This is a model that she gave me recently as I've been trying to pivot my business, developing an online course. Susan and I have a book coming out. I have another couple of things I'm thinking about. And so I'm almost starting all over. So she talks about this concentration, momentum, and sustainability. That's the stage process she talks a lot about. So we could think about that concentration as that little baby seedling trying to break out of the ground, right? So, and at this point, it takes like, she's saying, you know, 10 units of energy to get 1 unit of result, right? So it's a lot. It's almost like a slog. And that may be where you feel you are as you're starting your new business. So there's not a lot of you know, payoff at that point. So when you move into the momentum stage, so if I think about my podcast, like, well, I went from having a few listeners, I've got a couple of thousand listeners now. I'm making progress. I've got that momentum. So the energy you expend, you're getting an equal amount out of it. And then you move into sustainability, where it takes very little effort to have that machine. So you hear Matt in the IC chat, he talks about the flywheel effect. I think that's in the book Good to Great, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but so it takes very little. So I don't have to do a lot after 18, almost 20 years of maintaining my business. I've got a reputation. People come to me, I get a lot of referrals. I'm very grateful for that. But what I have to do for my evaluation business is not, I don't have to expend a lot of energy there, where all these new things I'm putting into place, I do. So that's a model I wanted to share with you. So my homage to Matt, 5.5 points. So remember that developing your business is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It's not for the faint of heart, certainly. Can you do all the things to support your new business? Do you have the energy, the technical skills to be the IT director, to develop business, to write contracts, to keep the company happy, the clients happy, rather, to do your accounting? Can you wear all of the hats? Is that going to drive you crazy? Recognize your pain points. There was a time, and for a long time, that I stayed in between that second and the third stage. And so that's my tip number 4, act on your pain points, because I stayed in that pain point for a long time. You'll know it when you're there, and you will recognize that you either have to get bigger or get smaller. You cannot stay in that place. You always got to mind your budget. It's not probably the thing we all went to graduate school to do, but you have to mind your budget. And then my last tip is get help when you need it. I mentioned that yesterday. I wish I'd gotten a business coach way earlier than I did. That said, there's a lot more support for new and emerging evaluators than there used to be. So it used to be that we had Gail's course, and Gail Barrington did workshops at AEA. She's a very famous Canadian evaluator who wrote the consulting management and startup book that we all swear by. But we have office hours. We have the independent consulting TIG, we have IC chat. There's lots of people doing office hours, not just me. So you have a lot more resources as you're getting started. So do all the things, get help you when you need it, for sure. All right, so now it's your turn. As always, these are all the places you can get a hold of me. And so I'm going to stop the recording, and I want us to talk about, your reactions to this, maybe your definition of success, your idea of how big you want your business to be. And then I always want to hear about a place where you're stuck or an accomplishment you are proud of. So let me stop the share. And let me stop the recording and we'll have a conversation.